Welcome to the F.E.A.R Chronicles, false evidence appearing real, where we are covering real stories for navigating burnout, bold moves, and becoming your best self. I'm your host, Natasha Agha, private practice strategist, mother of two, and recovering perfectionist. This is the space where we get honest about the pivots, the pressure, and the purpose behind it all. If you're navigating life transitions, career shifts, motherhood, or learning to trust yourself again, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Who are you? How do you identify yourself? And I'm not talking about labels. This is much deeper than that. Your self concept and your identity is the core of everything in your life. Your identity stems from your beliefs, which subsequently shows up as patterns. As I've talked about before, beliefs are repeated thoughts and even past memories that impact your actions, your behaviors, and ultimately how you show up or don't show up in the world. There is a slight but important difference between self concept and identity that I want to unpack before we dive into the main patterns that show up in your business and in your life. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. When it comes to self concept, this is a collection of your beliefs and your mental picture about your personality, your characteristics, and your skills, what you believe you're good or not so good at. This is about you and your inner dialogue, aka your inner critic, which reflects back to you as your self-esteem. This tends to change more based on, your daily experiences and the feedback that you receive from either your environment or from others. So when it comes to identity, this is a compilation of traits, labels, or the plethora of masks that we have that define who you are to the external world, such as your gender, your profession, your cultural background, and so much more. This is more of the social and relational aspects of how you fit into other groups, various categories or communities, which becomes your narrative, the stories you tell yourself. These tell you who you think you are and where you belong in the world, in society, and so on. If you've been listening to this podcast and thinking, I know there's more for me, more alignment, more freedom, more clarity, that version of you, she already exists. And that is exactly the work we do inside the private practice burnout solution. This is where we move beyond surface level strategy and into the identity, energy, and systems needed to build a business that actually supports your life. If you're ready to become her now, you'll find more details on my website at natashaagaconsulting.co. So now let's dive into where do these patterns originate from? So they often originate from early childhood, not from something that happened, say, last week. When you are burned out in a state of survival, your body and nervous system, they revert back to and rely on defense mechanisms, aka, coping strategies. These are familiar to help us stay alive in survival mode. This means that there is an emergency, so your brain and your body are not functioning at their fullest capacity. As a result, your brain has likely taken over and disconnected communication pathways to your body because it has deemed many functions as non essential for surviving. And this is why many burned out practitioners end up stuck in their heads on this never ending loop. Remember, what got you here won't get you there. You cannot operate from two places or two identities at once. So when you want to shift out of survival mode private practice owner into expansive CEO her, you have to address the underlying patterns first by getting rid of the old stories and beliefs that no longer serve you and the new identity you are becoming. Now, how does this show up in your business? Let's break it down. So we've got people pleasing. So what's really happening? Well, you're overgiving, whether that is time, unpaid work, anything to keep others, whether that's clients, teams, colleagues, keeping them happy while sacrificing yourself and your boundaries. Then there's perfectionism. What's really happening? You are seeking to receive validation and praise from others. So you are feeling like you have to show up in a certain way and perform to be accepted. This can be a form of self abandonment by either delaying or not taking the actions because it's just not right or it's just not ready. Then we have comparisonitis. What's really happening? So, in the past, I've called this a ballerina complex because I years ago was a dancer. So, this is what's really happening is you're overly competitive, right? So you're feeling that like if you are not the best or that you don't outshine, you want to shine above everyone else. If you don't do that, you will not be seen, heard, or understood. So the primary focus is on everything and everyone else external to you. Procrastinating. So, what's really happening? You don't trust yourself. So, there's a lack of self belief and trust that you know what you are doing, or that you even have the skills and capabilities to move forward, or to complete the project, or to launch the event, or to start a new promo, and so on. Procrastinating. What's really happening? So, this typically is the fear of making a mistake or fear of being judged. So, feeling like you will be misunderstood or that others will judge you in a negative light. You care too much about what others think of you instead of what you think of you. Therefore, nothing is getting done because you're too busy in the background where nobody can see you. Then there's self sabotage. So, what's really happening here? You are thinking that you don't deserve it, whether it is success, ease, joy, or fulfillment. Not feeling like you're enough or worthy to have what you desire or to have things go well in any or all areas of your life. You're bracing for impact. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop, knowing what you need to do and not taking the actions. I want you to reflect on these patterns for yourself. Be completely honest with yourself because we all have patterns. What are yours? What are the main storylines happening within your inner dialogue? What feels familiar to you? What are you assuming? What do you consider as normal? The main variable that makes anything a pattern is repetition. We know this intellectually. So, to take it a level further, when it comes to your patterns, what are you attached or addicted to? Is it emotional instability? Is it bracing for the worst? Is it that everything is hard and takes a long time? Is it that nothing seems to work that you implement into your business? The takeaway from this episode is that you have the power to change everything. How you define yourself, your story, your perception of yourself, your assumptions. You also have the power to change nothing and remain where you are. You can intentionally decide differently. This is twofold by rewriting or updating your inner dialogue, which is your self concept, and your core beliefs, which is your identity. What do you decide is true for you? And what is now your new normal? I would love to hear from you. Any light bulb moments, insights, or takeaways from this episode. You can share with me on Instagram at Natasha Agha Consulting or comment below. For more strategies, insights, and resources to help you navigate your own journey, join my Fearless Alignment newsletter on my podcast page, natashaagaconsulting.co. I invite you to take my 2-minute Are You the Bottleneck quiz to find out who or what is slowing down your progress. It's fast, fun, and eye-opening, and I will link that in the show notes below. Thanks for joining me on the F.E.A.R Chronicles. If this episode resonates with you, I'd love for you to like, follow, comment, or share with someone who needs it. Want more support? Check out the links below for free resources, my newsletter, and how to work with me inside the Private Practice Burnout Solution. Remember, bold moves start with small shifts. You've got this, and I've got you.